What happened at the beginning of the human race? The devil successfully seduced our first parents.
And just quickly, who are your heroes?
My heroes are Santan Dave, Kendrick Lamar, most of all Jesus Christ.
British rapper DC3 appeared on a BBC news program, and what happened next went viral. He was specifically asked about his heroes. He mentions a few rappers, and as a fervent Christian, of course, Jesus made the list. This in turn made the BBC anchor hiss like a serpent. Many people are saying this was a demon-possessed moment, that there was a demon coming out of this BBC anchor. Let me know what you think.
So I'd say like a lot of gospel music influenced like my love for music.
And just quickly, who are your heroes?
My heroes are Santan Dave, Kendrick Lamar, most of all Jesus Christ.
Oh, well, it's lovely to meet you, Daniel Chenjerai.
So that's what happened. Here is a reaction to the hiss from a British bishop.
Bishop Kai, welcome back to Talk. Your reaction to the behaviour of this presenter. Are we over-interpreting?
I don't think we're over-interpreting at all. Anybody with any experience in broadcasting knows when you're live on air, you don't suck air over your teeth like Miss Guru Murthy clearly did. It's just a shocking moment for the BBC, who rightly earned their moniker of the biased broadcasting corporation, or as I affectionately like to call them, bigger and better cock-ups.
Well put, and I've got to say that is a commanding use of language. The mask slipped, didn't it?
100%, and I'm sure that all of the ultra-liberals at the BBC are sitting there cringing at the very mention of Jesus Christ on a BBC news programme. How very dare any Christian go on BBC and openly profess their faith as DC3 did. And all credit to the young man for having the boldness to say it, but this was a nasty moment, and I will say this, I think the BBC have managed to do something that nobody else has, because they finally found rocking horse manure in the stables, if you believe that response from Ms. Guru Murthy.
So he's referring to the response from the BBC, which addressed this viral moment by stating that the anchor was just breathing in. This had nothing to do with demons. This had nothing to do with disdain for Jesus. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I definitely think, and we can be certain of this, that the anchor was not expecting DC3 to mention Jesus. And of course he did, and it caught her by surprise. Is the anchor demon possessed? Probably not. I think in modernity, demons prefer to work in the shadows. They're much more subtle than that. Where demons like to work most, where the devil really works, is in ideologies and errant philosophies that do not lead to faith. This whole ordeal reminded me of a sermon that Bishop Barron gave entitled The Slogans of the Serpent. Check out what Bishop Barron says. This is where we can be certain the devil is working.
Eat, drink, and be merry, because tomorrow you'll die. How about, in a more sophisticated way, Friedrich Nietzsche? Well, since God is dead, all that's left is our will to power. I decide, I will, to express my power over and against you. Jean-Paul Sartre, the founder of existentialism. Existence precedes essence, meaning my freedom comes first and I determine who I will be. Can I suggest that those are all descendants of this first move when Adam and Eve decide, no, I will eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. I will become myself the criterion of good and evil. And notice, please, who does the tempting here? The serpent was the most cunning of all the animals the Lord had made. The serpent asked the woman, did God really tell you not to eat of any of the trees in the garden? And she clarifies, no, we can eat of them all, except for this one. But the serpent said to the woman, you will not die. God knows well the moment you eat of it, your eyes will be open. You'll be like gods who know what is good and evil. We're right on a fulcrum here, everybody, of a spiritual life. See, what's sin? It's this presupposition that God is our rival. He's out to get us, to oppress us. He doesn't want us fully alive. And so I got to make myself into a kind of rival God. I've got to say, no, it's my prerogative. From that elemental move follows the deep sadness that all of us sinners experience. No one tells me what to do. My body, my choice. My life, my death, my choice. Freedom is absolute. See, all of those are slogans composed in hell, if I can state it bluntly. They're all slogans invented by the devil. No, no, no. You eat of that and you'll be like a god, and that's what he doesn't want. No, he wants us fully alive, and the worst move we can make is to turn ourselves into rival gods. Now, watch what happens after they eat. And hey, the fruit is good to eat. Yeah, I know. I'm a sinner. I know all about this. Is when I make this move, it's enticing at first, but it is sweet poison. See, that's the point. It's sweet poison. I know it tastes good to say, my choice, my life, I'm a God, I determine. But what happens? They immediately realize they were naked, and they experience shame and defensiveness. I remember in a previous sermon just recently, I talked about the danger of this inward move. Is when I become preoccupied with myself, I become, by definition, unhappy. The proper move is out, right? Is to forget about your own prerogatives and to become salt, light, and all that for the other. See, the move here is when I eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, I turn inward and now become, in a self-preoccupied way, shamed and aware of my own nakedness. See, if you're focused totally on the other, you're not aware of all that.
Because of sin, we are prone to the hissing lies of the devil. You got to remember that it's not just her, but we can easily be influenced by the demonic as well. But this is where Christians know the answer. This is where Christians should ask, but what about Jesus? What has Jesus done? Listen to how brilliant of an explanation this is as Bishop Barron closes this homily.
Just briefly, everybody, in the great gospel reading from Matthew, the account of Jesus in the desert, what do we find? Well, in a way, something very similar. The devil, again, is a main player, but now not Adam and Eve, but Jesus himself. After his 40-day fast in the desert, the devil approaches him. You must be very hungry, so turn these stones into bread. What's he saying? It's not the will of your Father that matters. It's satisfying your desire. It's satisfying your physical hunger. That's what it should be all about. And you should make that decision. You should make that determination. You're the criterion of good and evil. Satisfy your hunger. No. But man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. See, Jesus is saying, I'm not the criterion of good and evil in my human nature. It's my heavenly Father. And then the devil takes him to the parapet of the temple. Throw yourself down. The angels will pick you up. What matters most here? Safety. Safety. Keeping myself safe. That's what life's all about. When I eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, I'm the criterion of right and wrong. I'll say what's right is what keeps me safe. What's wrong is what puts me in danger. Yeah. Look at the lives of the saints. Is that how they operate? That above all, they're going to try to avoid danger? That safety at all costs is the criterion? No. It's doing the will of God, which might put me in grave danger. Look at the martyrs. And so Jesus says that. Don't put the Lord your God to the test. You're not the criterion here. Rather, it's following the will of God. That's what matters. And then finally, showing him all the kingdoms of the world and all their splendor. I'll give them all to you if you would bow down and worship me. What's that? Hey, power, satisfying my hunger, being safe, and now having power. Yeah, that's what the ego always wants. If I'm the criterion of good and evil, that's what I'll do. I'll try to satisfy my hungers, I'll try to be safe, and I'll try to be powerful so I can keep other people at bay. You see what's happened there is I've become like a god, but this weird, deeply unhappy god. So Jesus dismisses him. You should worship the Lord your God alone. And now there's the key thing, everybody. What happened at the beginning of the human race? The devil successfully seduced our first parents into thinking God is their rival, that they have to cling to their prerogatives to be happy. In giving into that sweet poison, they poison the human race. What undoes the sin of Adam is the obedience of Jesus.